Peace and blessings. I'm B-Lo and welcome to Convo, a new platform designed for the often outcast, those who've been shunned, those who've been ridiculed, those, but during the process of changing their life, have a new outlook on life. The brothers get together one-on-one and have conversations about real life issues and build upon them. Today I have a friend of mine, a guest that I welcome to the stage, Brother Blocker, to tell his story.
Peace, peace.
Welcome to Convo, brother.
Wow, bro. Thanks for having me.
And we know that we often everybody has a story. Oftentimes we're judged. We can see someone and somebody may ridicule them and point a finger at them from where they at now. They may be a bum on the street or they may have a job making minimum wage. Someone may pick at them, but not knowing that person is light years away from where he was yesterday. So we have to be careful who we judge because where a person is today, it may be, he may have come a long way from where he was yesterday. So instead of judging, being judgmental, ridiculing, and laughing, we're to assist to help a brother. You see somebody doing good, let a brother know that he's doing good. Let a sister know he's doing good. We're quick to judge. We're quick to talk shit about each other. But let's try to spread the love. And this platform about spreading the love, have an open conversation and understanding, and coming in peace and leaving in love.
Indeed,
So,
indeed,
brother, I want to open up the stage for you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your upbringing and your perspective of life today.
All right, like brother said, I'm Blocker. Born and raised right here in the city, right here in Charlotte, North Carolina. 45 years of age. Uh, a little short brief of my story. I come up in a two-parent home at an early age. Me and my two older sisters. We, what I understand is that a kid learns from the lessons of a kid is learned from their mother. The examples that we grow up in, our perceptions in life is pretty much from what your mother gives you. So growing up, like I said, in a two-parent home, the, the turmoil and the things that my parents went through, I witnessed that firsthand. So it gave me a perception of what of a female or a woman was through my mother. And everybody know you're gonna love your mother unconditionally. Right. And when you got that unconditional love, that doesn't change the condition. That just means you love them unconditionally. And the things I witnessed with that, what kind of warped my perception on how it made me defensive. Like if my mother was capable of it, every other female behind that is capable of it. And come to find out at 45 years of age, that's not true.
Okay, so excuse me once again, not to cut you off, brother. So your upbringing and how your perception of your mother and how she raised you and her interactions throughout life. You when you became of age and you looked at women, you held every woman to that particular standard, not realize that each individual is different.
True indeed. True
Okay.
indeed. And that realization, sitting here talking to you, it just hit recently, because you got to understand, all these years I'm perceiving that, but it's just till that light came off my head that everyone, that's just one particular incident. So what I'm saying, like, for all the mothers out here that's raising children, be very mindful of the impression that you're leaving on your son. Maybe not so much of a female, but your son, because your son is going to go out here and meet his wife and produce his family and grow, and only he's going to reach back on the teachings of his mother, whether they were strict, whether they was too lenient, or whatever the situation may be. We got to be mindful on how we got to be mindful of what we expose our children to, because it can warp you. It can have you walk. It can have you moving through the city, looking for validation from a woman, because you may not get it from your mother.
Right.
What they call, I think they call past traumas, or mama issues or daddy issues. That's real. It's not something that's just thrown out when it's a disagreement amongst two people. Or I'm not messing with her. She got daddy issues, or he got dad or mama issues, or whatever the situation may be. We throw it out loosely, but I come to realize and find out that it's real. And until that individual, as a grown man, goes in and digs in the roots and find out, yo, why am I like this? What's really going on with me? Why can't I sustain a relationship? Why do I have trust issues, or this and that to the third? It has come from a way you was conditioned.
Okay, you're right. We all were conditioned through our upbringing. Say you have a perfect household. You have a mother, you have a father, and they stand on morals, they stand on principles, and your mother and your father are the ideal individuals to emulate. And you go out to society. you go decide you meet a female, you try to hold her to those standards. Each individual, male or female, has their own personality. Has it, they've been shaped and molded in a certain way as well. So we have to be careful how we raise our children, but at the same time, we raise our children to be upright, independent, and fearless, and hold them to a higher standard, and let our life be a living example of how a woman or how a man should interact with one another, and how they should act out in society. Then there's nothing wrong with holding a woman to that standard, because we can't expect her to be just like your mother or be just like our sister, whatever. We have to be open, understand they're different individuals. They have different upbringings. Their mother and father may not have been the perfect example, so we have to be open to understand where they're coming from as well. So it can be good. It can also be bad because it can help you cut off some people from the start that this is no, she's not holding to this standard. She's not the woman that's for me based on my upbringing and an example of what a woman is and how my mother turned out and how successful she may have been. This may not be the woman for me, or this may be the one for me. I can work with her. I can help mold her into, the woman, the perfect woman, not for yourself and for her and for herself as well. So it can cause us to get into a lot of relationships and like she ain't like my mama and leave her.
Correct.
I mean, women may be like he ain't like my daddy and leave her. But we have to. It can work like two ways. It can be good and it can be bad. But us having an understanding, each individual is shaped and molded through their own trials, tribulations, through their own life, through their own upbringing, through their own traumas. We've went through certain things as men that our culture as a whole went through so many things that we would label as trauma. We're not knowing that there's trauma. We not even know about trauma. We're not even able to heal from those traumas. And if we aren't able to heal from the traumas, then when someone's in the military and they see things throughout the military as far as death, killing, different things that may go through, they come out with PTSD. These are traumas that they went through to cause them to be this way. We go through traumas as a culture, but we kind of mask it. We keep going. We keep going. We just keep moving. But we have to address those issues so we can heal. We can heal, then we can become better people. We can begin to understand other people's traumas as well. So
True.
upbringing is definitely very important. I know that you said that you just learned recently about certain things, and I have as well. Just dealing with different people, everybody don't have the same perception you have. You would think, this man should know this at this age, or this woman should know this age, and that's not the case. But this is what this platform is here for as well, for brothers to sit and talk about different things. We may have different upbringing. We may have miscommunication based on your upbringing and my upbringing, and we may judge one another just from the appearance. But until we sit down and talk, we see that we're similar. We went through the same thing. We went through similar issues, just different perceptions.
Yeah.
But until we get together and build and have conversation, it's the only way we can understand and be able to move forward together.
Right, right. And that's right in line with what you're saying. Like also, your parents can give the child a positive outlook on life, and they can move throughout life with that information.
Right.
But what helped me was with my situation was like my parents gave me what they had. Because what softened my heart to it, I don't know what my mother might have went through. I don't know what my father might have went through. So when you take that into account, you're not as harsh on it. But at the end of the day, you never know what happened with her. But
Right.
they're not saying that she didn't love me, they didn't give me the best they had. But I'm just going on what I witnessed in life, on how I perceive things. So if we could just stop it here, we understand what has happened. We can't do nothing about
Right.
that. But we can stop it here and get the whys and maybe bring other people around to say, well, look, man, you're not alone. You're
Right.
not in this thing by yourself. We all in this thing together. So if you need a platform, you need a voice, speak your mind because it's the truth. But also knowing growing up that it comes a time in a man's life where he has to accept responsibility for himself and not play the blame game.
Right.
Okay, boom, that's the play. Now, as a man, how can I navigate and move through this? Because this is what I'm placed here to handle, to come up with a solution to my situation. Come up with, okay, that happened. All right, boom. So now what we're gonna do to outshoot that? We're gonna identify it. We're not gonna be ashamed or embarrassed about it, and we're gonna move forward in life. So I say this. So coming up, seeing them split, doing their thing. So growing up with my moms, growing up with my pops, I was still raised in a way that you go to church every Sunday, you respect people, you do your homework, you make good grades, you play sports, and you just be a good child. So did I come up in the streets? No. Was I aware of my mother and my father all my life? Yeah. Hell, I think one point in time I had a tree house. So that's telling you that it wasn't. I didn't come up like most of the people that I ran across in life. And their story is their story. So when I decided, well, to hit the streets, because I was always told to stay away from the streets. Man, go to work, go to work, go to work, stay away from the streets. So in a warped kind of perception, that kind of draw me to the streets. What are they keeping me from?
Curiosity.
Yeah, what's out there that's so.
Right.
So I stepped out there and got burned.
So you stepped out there. Did you begin to, before you got burned, did you begin to enjoy it?
Um, because anybody that's in the streets know there's different levels to the streets. It's not just them the streets. So you may get in, you might sell your little weed, smoke your little weed, drink your drink. And then you got another aspect of the game where it's time to kind of get money now. So the streets can be just enjoying it in a high state. Or now you say, well, this my situation causes me to have finances. So now I'm gonna might need to be a robber. I'm gonna sell little drugs or whatever I do
Right.
to bring around that for that level of the game.
Right. Crime come into play
Then,
at that point.
yeah, yeah. If you're not working, crime gonna come into play. Um, so, an example of doing the right thing. When coming up, my Jordans came out in the '80s. That my father, he I asked my dad. I said, "Pop, man, let me pair them Jordans, man." He was like, "Nah, son, them $100 shoes right there." I said, "All right." I asked. I played football for South PL, and I went down and I stole a pair. Come home, Dad, boy, where you get them shoes at? I come up with some story. And he already knew the place. So anyway, he took me back down to the park. Anybody that know might know. He took me back down to the park. He made me give the shoes back to the coach. He said, "My son came home with these Jordans. I don't know where he got them from, but I'm pretty sure he got them from down here." So what he did, he took me. Anybody know about Charlotte? We had a thing called Pace, and he took me out there and he brought M&Ms, pickles, pig feet, now later sodas, you name it. He brought it. And at the end of the Barrington Drive, I sat out there and I peddled like candy and sodas and pickles and stuff. He just taught me how to work for mine. So once I got enough money up, he took me to Freedom Mall and I went out there and brought my Jordans. So these are lessons that I learned. I still understand to the day, years later, that my father told me the right way. So I can't make the excuse that I wasn't raised. Everything I've done, everything I did out here that's not contrary to how I was raised is all on me. I take responsibility of that. So you can have something, but if you don't use it, what good is it?
Right. So your father actually there was no punishment behind it. What he
Oh,
did. Okay,
you
you cut
know,
that part
butter.
out.
You know, he snatched me up.
But
He snatched me up.
but
But after that,
at the same time, he took you. Okay, the problem was money. You didn't need a way to get money, or you need a way to get money to be able to provide for yourself. You wanted these shoes. You took the shoes. You took them back. I'm sure that was embarrassing as well to take them back.
it was embarrassing. It really was because kids at my age, young boys, man, it was, but it was something that had to happen as a man.
Right.
My dad was a man.
Right.
He's like, yo, we got to rectify this thing. Take them shoes back. You ain't got to steal. You ain't got to do nothing like that. I'm gonna show you a way. You
Right.
can go out here and earn your keep.
That's what we're short of today. Good fathers. I would say that.
Mm.
But he the embarrassment was enough, probably enough punishment. But also he showed you a way, a productive way, a legal way to go out and get money to be able to buy the same joys that you stole. And that's real empowerment.
Correct.
You can motivate somebody, and like people may go to church or go to different services, and they feel good, at the moment they go out, they motivated. But when they go out and the cares of the world come upon them, they get into their everyday life. Then they got to go back the next week to get that feeling.
Mhm.
But empowerment is different from motivation. Empowerment, he provided a way for
Correct.
you to. They ain't just say don't steal them damn shoes, punish you, take you down there, take the shoes back, make you stay in your room looking in the corner all day.
Correct.
He
You
took you,
put-
he
it
took
was
them back,
action
but he
behind
showed you a way. Okay,
That's
he
correct.
empowered you. He showed you a way.
Sure, man.
This is the way.
That's
And a lot of times we don't have that. We don't have that. A lot of us don't have a two-parent household. I didn't have a two-parent household.
Mhm.
I just had my mother and I had my grandmother. I had two mothers basically. But still, a lot of times we're not shown the way. We told not to do, not to get in the street, what not to do, but there's no alternative. There's no, do this. This is how you do it. Because they may not have been shown the way. But in your case, it was different. You had a father, you had a mother that was there and was able to motivate and empower you. So when that happened, he showed you that you could sell the merchandise that you had and go out and provide for yourself, were you still intrigued by the or pulled to the streets?
And that was like one of my first experiences with crime. So even after that lesson, it was like, okay, that subsided me for a while, because I let's say I was lost at a young age and I found my way like the prodigal son found his way home. But as you grow, those lessons got dust on them.
Okay.
It was something that I felt like I had mastered, or I forgot, or had amnesia to, and I lost my way again. You understand? So when I lost my way again, the stakes were higher. It's not about George now. It's about paying bills, because I have a family of my own now. So it's not about me trying to have Jordans and look nice for school or whatever and whatnot. So my father, he taught me that lesson there, and even with that, I lost my way and I went and did more dangerous stuff. So you can give somebody something, but whether they really utilize it or not is totally on them.
Right.
So the streets, uh, it was like at the same time, my heart wasn't all the way in the streets, because like if I'm out here doing my thing and I get short $50, I really wasn't concerned, because I had a family that I could probably go to and get that from,
Okay.
versus a brother who doesn't have that. If he gets short of $50, it's all bets off, so to speak. So even in the game, like I was like into it, like to be cool or to be intrigued, to being curious of what was going on, versus cats out here that's in to survive, out here to live. I mean, they ain't got no other options.
Right.
So I had options. So I was playing at like an 85% rate with cats who's playing at 100% rate. Get what I'm saying?
Right.
So it was kind of different. Well, they had to be out there, and I can go get my little thing, and I'm going back to my safety net.
That's that's interesting because sitting here listening, it kind of opened me up to different things. Whereas my situation was different. Like I said, I had a mother and a grandmother that pretty much raised me. I had an older brother, a younger brother that was there, and my mom worked hard to provide for us. I can't never remember a time when we didn't have clothes, didn't have really have food. I had dressed nice, always had name brand stuff, and not that that really matters at the end of the day. But I always had things, but we still stayed in the project. We still stayed in the hood, and I love the hood. But at one point, I what kind of motivated me to get out was not just interested in the street. Don't go in it, from someone telling me don't go in the street. And my curiosity um, caused me to go out and just see what it's all about. Mine was my mom. Like, I don't want to be a burden. I didn't want to be a burden on her. I felt like my older brother's already out in the street doing what he needed to do. He didn't need any help. He didn't need any assistance at the time until he got locked up. He's gonna need all the help in the world. But I wasn't understanding that. My thing was for me to allow my mom to take care of my younger brother, and I take care of myself. I'm a relieve the burden. I'm not gonna ask my mama for nothing. I don't need nothing. I'm gonna try to do what I can to provide myself to take the weight off her a little bit, so she can provide for my younger brother. Not knowing when I get into something, then I'm still gonna have to call on my mom. So when I'm trying to take a burden off her, I'm also putting another burden on her. It may last for years because you may be incarcerated,
Correct.
maybe death. So, but my understanding at the time, I was just, I need to get out and get money. At the same time, I need to take a little bit of weight off my mom. Whereas you had, you like you said, if you need the $50, you can fall back and ask
Yeah,
your mom.
yeah, right,
My way was on it. Now I'm not gonna ask mom.
right.
Well, I mean, I could have asked my mom if she'd given it to me. Mine, I ain't asking mom for nothing. I ain't asking for shit. I'm going to get it myself.
So it
So it
was
kind of caused me to go out and get into other things that wasn't beneficial to me.
you playing in you so all about the streets. When we did decide to hit the streets, we are playing. So now we're playing in a field where everybody has different motivations, different reasons from being out there.
Right.
So to speak. Later, moving forward, later move to the penitentiary. Like you may say, okay, let's change this. We might. So before I say that, I want to say this: that every person has that drive in them to change their situation, or that willpower to do better. It's just once you get organized in your mind, you can direct that energy to something that's more positive than just um, like you say, you knew something had to be done. You want to take the burden off your mama, so you hit it. I know I wanted some pair of Jordans, so I didn't know how to do it, so I just hit it. That hit it part is that drive that's in you. And as you get older and as you dialect and build with people, you'll learn how. You'll learn how.
Right.
Even this platform, we want to get our voice out there. We want to get our story out there. But do we have the how? No. So we just get it right now. We get it until we put it together and it's to a point where people can utilize it.
Right. Well, what would you say? Like for myself, it took me going through a lot of trial tribulation, a lot of knots on my head, so to speak. A lot of time in my life spent in places that I didn't want to spend. A lot of tears, a lot of loneliness, a lot of crying at times. At one point, I wish I prayed and asked God, don't even wake me up. If I got to wake up in this place, don't even wake me up. Right. That's how I felt. Right. So in those particular situations, man is sure to find himself in the place that he solve his problems best.
Correct.
And for me, it was prison. I had to go to prison. I hated it, and I couldn't see the end from the beginning. I couldn't nowhere in the world. I talked to different guys. How long you been here? I've been here for 5 years. I'm like, damn, 5 years. And I'm thinking back in my mind, 5 years ago I did this, I done did that, I done did this. Yeah. That's a long time. I'm day one. I got 15 to go. So I'm out of it. I don't even know what to think. Right. But during that time, you can use that time to kind of hide away from yourself and get into other things, or you can use that time to really get to know yourself. Because a lot of times when we out in society, we take on these different attachments, mm-hmm. and we think we are the attachment. The attachment is not us. We only way you can hear, and we can't hear ourselves sometimes. We can't hear that small still voice that speak to us sometimes. Sometimes we may say, "Well, something told me." I heard something. Yeah. But we have a higher power that speaks through us. A lot of times we can't hear it because of the music in the background, or because the images that's before us. But when you are forced to sit down, you can't do nothing but deal with yourself. You can't do nothing but listen. It's up to you whether you listen or you choose to rebel. Indeed. But sometimes we have to find ourselves in those places in order to get to know ourselves, to be quiet enough to think. Some people don't like to be by themselves because they got to think about themselves. They have to think about their situation if they're by themselves. Yeah, so they'd rather be around a crowd. They'd rather drink. They'd rather smoke. They'd rather do anything to keep them off themselves. But I got to deal with myself. You have to deal with yourself. So you have to sit down and with yourself sometime and just think and plan. But what can we do to stop it, to not come to that realization while we in a penitentiary, or we done lost a loved one? Now we got to sit and think about it, try to change our life. What would you think would be something that allows that person to learn that lesson, or to get to know himself and get in tune with that small still voice that he hears before he reaches that particular point of penitentiary?
Why did it have? I see what you're saying. Why? How come it has to take drastic circumstances for you to say, okay, now I'm gonna do right?
Yeah. Right.
I think that what no Jarali brothers ain't gonna do nothing but the tip of a sword. Maybe that's what the brother's speaking about. We stiff necked people. We won't do nothing but at the tip of a sword. Okay. So you stubborn right. people that. And then I can pretty much, I wasn't there, but to go down his mind frame, I can relate that to that. Right. The tip of a sword is the only way you can get really brothers, like right before you about to go over the edge. All right, hold up. Yeah, hold up. I do right now, but it's only till you get that. Right. But unfortunately, it cost me 20 years out of my life. I went in at 20 years old, 21 years old. I didn't come home till I was like 39. So just fumbling and bumbling out here in these streets, doing something that I wasn't raised into, stepping in an arena that wasn't for me. But I was in it, but it wasn't my arena. I wasn't I wasn't a so-called seasoned robber. I wasn't a seasoned drug dealer. I wasn't brought up in that thing. It wasn't. So I'm half-assed with it. I'm 85% out here with it, and it cost me 20 years of my life. So through that, I've learned. I reached out to brothers inside the penitentiary that was well versed. Back when I went in, you had literature that you can get a hold to. Mm-hmm. It would help you transform yourself. I met George Jackson in prison. I met Huey Newton in prison. I met Bobby Seale in prison. I met Che Guevara in prison. I met all these people in prison through the willpower of just reading a book.
Right.
They told their story through a book. And now I'm getting these different analogies of what the struggle was, whether way before you learning about slavery and the black struggle and black liberation, way before all that, you're meeting real men who went through something that was more meaningful. Right. Because I'm looking at my situation, I'm like, this what I did was like meaningful. It was like a waste of time. So let me start surrounding myself with brothers who made a difference. And why I say make a difference, you say, well, you say Malcolm X, for example. Uh, Here it is, what, 50, 60, 70 years later, after he closed his eyes, we still speak about this brother from time to time. People who didn't do anything don't get spoke about. So my thing
Right.
was, 50 years from now, what would folks say about me? So in order for that to happen, I gotta get my feet to moving. I gotta make a difference somewhere because I want to be remembered for something. Like you might remember me for this, but I also did this. I want my good to outweigh my bad because I can't erase and do away with my bad because my bad is my bad.
Right.
But when the scales, it's all about balance. Life is about a perfect balance. When the scales tilt, I want my good to outweigh my bad. Well, yeah, he did that, but he also started this. He
Right.
also did that. He
Right.
also, so you speak more about that. The bad is always going to be there because the bad is what fueled me to do better. You know, waking up in the penitentiary for 20 years straight, no breaks, no come home for 3, go back for 4, none of that.
Yeah.
Just coming in straight.
Every minute, every second, every minute, every year,
You got
straight.
you got 10 minutes. You on the phone trying to get your daughter. Look, baby, I need you to do this right here. Stay in school. 10-minute phone call unless you got a little bit more money to put on your books. Because I use the phone. I think that's I think that's why I talk fast now. Because in visit you got an hour or two to get you can, especially you got 3 visitors.
Right.
You hear with 50 minutes you put them off.
Right.
You
It's kind of
know the
crazy. It
flow.
makes
You
you
know the
nervous,
flow of the
bro.
prison of
Right.
visitation in the phone call. You
Right.
got to get everybody who comes see you a part of you that they can be satisfied with. Like, yeah, I went to go see my son. I went to go see my dad. I went to go see my brother. And for a man who really wanting to give them and not waste their time and visit, you got to know how to.
Yeah. The pressure is on. You got to give everybody attention
Man,
at the same time. You want to
man,
feel whole.
yeah.
Brother, I went in at 21 years old, and I went to Central Prison. It's
Mm,
probably the oldest prison, where, you know, in
mm.
death row and everything is at Central Prison.
Yeah.
Brother, I had they gave us one phone call, one
One
15
phone
minute
call.
phone call a year.
A year.
Well, here I am in the city.
I
I'm from
forgot
Columbia,
about
South
that. I
Carolina, but
forgot all
I'm in a
about it.
city where I don't know anyone. I don't have no friends. I don't know nobody from here. I've grown up with nobody. I moved from South Carolina, from Columbia. So I'm here. I don't know nobody. And we first pull up. A guy told me, say, brother, we're in the bus. He's like, bro, you better look at see society right now. You better look at everything that you can, because when you go inside these walls, it's over. I'm like, what is he talking about? But when I went in, those walls closed and the gates closed, and I look up, it's nothing but walls and a guard walking across the top. You can't see a tree, you can't see a car, you can't see anything. People broke. The windows are broken. People got sheets hanging out the window. Where you from? Hollering all kinds. I'm like, damn, what's
You
going on
ready?
here? But
Yeah.
one thing I made up my mind. I got to be a man. I'm gonna be a man. I'm gonna stand 10 toes down, regardless of what. If I don't leave out of here, if I leave out of here, or I leave out of here in a box, I'm gonna be a man. I'm gonna stand on principle, regardless.
I bear witness,
And I
right?
did that. But that 15-minute phone call, bro, was something crucial. I couldn't. You can only,
You can't function. So you had to
what
learn how to be articulate and write.
right when I wasn't even used to writing. I got to
No,
write
you
and try
had
to
to
express
teach
everything in
yourself.
a letter.
You had to teach
Right,
yourself how to get what you had a point across in a letter. So
right,
that's a. So I try to find a good in every situation. If you give me lemons, I'm gonna make some lemonade. Go sell it. So even with that, I say, well, penitentiary got me into the way where I can learn how to express myself through pen and paper because a lot of times that's what you had to do.
right,
The penitentiary had taught me how to be more open to people's point of views because you got all kind of people in the penitentiary,
right. Different personalities.
up and
Right.
down. It's a cesspool of learning about yourself, and it's really the penitentiary really go give you an opportunity to find out who you really are, whether you strong or whether you weak. It's gonna show. It's no way to fake it.
Right.
It's going to show you who you are and what you stand for in this life. That's what I learned from the penitentiary. And like I say, I was fortunate to run across brothers who had information. See, my thing was the information. I always had the drive to do, but I just didn't know where the hell I was going.
So at what point did you just begin to gather the information? Because when you first come in, I know you kind of it's a shock.
Oh, when I first
You
come
tucked
in,
away from
I was
everything.
sick.
Your parents going
I'm trying to
through.
figure out what baby mom's gonna do
Right.
with my child. I'm trying
What
to
she
figure.
gonna do?
I'm still trying to
Right.
think. I got an opportunity. I'm trying to wake up from a dream.
Right.
For the first couple of years, I'm thinking I'm gonna wake up and damn, boy, whew. But
So how you coping with it during those times before you decided to get into books and get the knowledge of other individuals that came before you that were strong black men and begin to take different parts of their lives and apply it to yourself to make you a strong individual. In this part, in the dream,
mhm.
when you were lost in the dream, what are some of the things you were going through? I know you said your kid's mother and how you gonna make this work. Or what kind of
Yeah,
feelings did that bring about?
that brought about mixed feelings, but it also gave me an opportunity to say I put myself in this situation. That even though I'm remorseful, I'm sorry, but I still got to wear what comes after dealing in reality. You 20 years old. How do you expect for a 20-year-old wait for you 20 years and then trying to be successful out here? So it was a lot of self realization dealing with me. I took everything instead of looking outside of everything. I put everything on my shoulders, and I put everything on my plate, and my plate became like this. So now I had something to do. When everybody else was doing whatever they doing, I had something to eat off my plate, whether it was processing these emotions, whether it was getting a good understanding on what I need to learn in this prison, what kind of trades I'm getting, or what it is. I had to come up with a plan to navigate myself through once I found out that I would be on death row or I didn't have life without parole, because that's where it was leaning for like a year. So once I figured out that it is an opportunity that I will be coming home, now I can make plans.
Right.
But for like years, like a year straight, it was up in the air if I was even gonna come home.